All right, everybody's ready to go? Yeah. Just 12 hours between mommy and a margarita. Oh, you gotta be. Don't let a stuffy nose block your good time. Children's Afrin provides 12-hour all-day or all-night relief of nasal congestion from colds or allergies. Afrin, the wow is real. Use as directed.
Hello and welcome to the Show Up Dad. This is a podcast for hardworking fathers looking to level up their fathering skills and be more than just a paycheck or provider for the home. Today, I want to welcome Felix Archibeque from Something Obscene Co. It is a family-owned operation ran and operated by Felix and his lovely wife, Chelsea Archibeque. Just a normal family trying to live the American dream of doing what they love doing. Thank you for coming on the show, brother. I'd like to have you start things off for giving our listeners a little bit of background of yourself, if you don't mind.
Yeah, thank you for having me. My name's Felix Archibeque. I'm 33 years old. I live in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. Like you, I was a lineman. That was my trade. That was my gig. That was what I loved doing. But it got to a certain point to where it just affected my home life. I was a transmission lineman. Before I even got into knives, I was a transmission lineman, traveling on the road, going state to state. Basically, I'd be gone for, 30 days out of the month. I'd maybe get to sleep in my own bed for 2 nights out of the month. Just all the pulls and the twists and turns of that trade, and the obstacles of trying to manage a family while being away is something that just was hard to do. So I did line work for 4 or 5 years. Best of what I did. We did all big transmission work. I was always in the bucket, up in the air. I was mainly the dead end dude. And we just traveled. We had a small crew, good crew, a bunch of guys that we all looked out for each other. We were, our brothers keepers. But after the years, dealing with family struggles, dealing with custody battles, missing your family, missing your kids, missing, important memories and stuff like that, it just kind of took its toll on you. And then, the politics of the job, of basically, our bosses just skipping safety, and it wasn't fun anymore. It wasn't what it was when we first started as a crew. So kind of everything turned into production, and just safety went out the window. The fun of the job went out the window, and all us guys that were family and brothers, we were all at each other's throats. And as long as the boss man was getting his production and getting that that bonus at the end of the year, it didn't really matter what happened out on the line. So kind of just the mix between that and being away from family, it just took its toll on all of us, on a couple of us. And a lot of us, just like me, we all just called it quits, and kind of went back to what we were doing or found new ventures. And that's where I kind of started. The last year, I found this new hobby of knife making. Mm-hmm. One of the guys online showed me some stuff, just took off. We'd work 12 to 16-hour days, get off work. We usually stay in these little podunk towns, gas station, maybe RV. You get off work and you just drink, go to the bar, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. For every day. It just got old. The life got old. How much money linemen make, and I mean, shit, I had nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
You know, I had an apartment at the time. I don't think the wife was working, and you know, bills were paid and stuff like that, but I had nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
I wasn't home to be able to enjoy the stuff that we did have. So I started this new little hobby. You know, I play guitar. I like to paint, find new hobbies, tackle them, master them, and then just kind of move on. I started making knives when we get off work in the RV park on the back of the truck, the work truck, and go to Home Depot, buy some, you know, crappy machines, and just kind of mess around, and it just kind of, the passion grew, and I started just tinkering with it, and then, you know, started sharing it on my Instagram, and it just kind of took off. It just blew up. So I think,
yeah, it's definitely, you definitely did blow up. You know what I mean? From it turning to just a hobby to a full-time job. You know what I mean? I got to commend you on that, because it definitely has grown. I mean, I look at your knives and I'm just like, wow. You know what I mean? Those things are amazing.
thank you.
You know, the craftsmanship and everything. And I kind of want to talk a little bit about that, you know, because I want to quote you on that, Felix. I had read a quote that you had said that you were taught young by your father that a man's reputation is judged by the quality of his work. And ever since, you've been striving in quality and perfection. And you could see that in your knives. You know what I mean? Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
You know, my dad is one of my biggest heroes, one of my biggest people I look up to. Growing up, he was working. He was a provider for all us 5-6 kids, and you know, my mom, and you know, he was always gone. He was always working, building houses, and when he got home, you know, he was tired. He'd sit on the couch, have his beer, put on his football, or and just relax. And you know, my dad is one of the most skilled carpenters out there, one of the most knowledgeable, hardworking. He's 61. Yesterday was his birthday, and you know, he's still out there hustling, still working. And he probably will be for a while. But you know, he taught all us kids that, you know, if we do something, not to do it half-assed, not to, you know, if someone pays you to do a job, you do that job and you do it right, and you do it better than what they expect. You know, you don't cut corners. You know, if you're not happy with it, then they're not gonna be happy with it.
Yeah.
So that's something that we all as kids kind of took with us. And you know, I mean, a man's reputation, I think it does. I mean, would you trust someone that puts out, you know, crappy work, or you trust someone's name that puts out nothing but quality work? I mean, just like with a man's word too. But so, yeah, my dad's been a big influence, as a father, as you know, he's my best friend. He was my best friend at my wedding. He's always been a role model for all his kids, and so
sounds
so
like
that's kind of where that comes from, is my business, my especially my business, my quality, what I expect from my knives, what I expect from other people's products that, you know, I contract out, or I mean, even down to stickers, man. If there's quality issues, I'm not putting it out to my people, and people hate me for it sometimes, but you know, it's just it. I have a standard, and I'm going to stick to that standard. And I believe all my followers, all my fans, and all my supporters, you know, that's why they're still with me. That's why I have such a big following, big support. big after secondary market is because, I make sure that I'm putting out good quality products and, my name's on it. So it better be the best. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know what I mean? One of the things I really liked what you said about, and it resonates with me as well, is, our fathers, you know what I mean? Having that influence in our lives to teach us about hard work and work ethic, right? And that's something you don't see much of today. You know what I mean? I remember a time where, when I was younger, me and my father, we would go deliver wood, wood for people to burn, you know what I mean? And we would drive to their house, we would deliver it, and we would stack it. You know what I mean? Nowadays, you pay twice that, and the guys show up. They don't give you a full cord of wood or a rick or whatever, and they just dump it off. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And they're trying to leave in a hurry, so they know they got you. You know, because they kind of shorten you. You know what I mean? And that's not the way my dad raised me. You know what I mean? His motto, his saying was, you know what I mean? Do it once. Right. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you're going to be there all day trying to redo it again. You know what I mean? Do it right the first time was his motto, Now,
it's like the saying, like, we used to hear this all the time. Well, on the line, well, can't see it from my house. Well,
yep.
It's a slap in the face. Like, make it right. What's the point of not doing something right when you're right there, you got your hands on it? Just because you can't see it from your house doesn't mean it that's not what you should have your name on.
Exactly.
It just goes with a lot of things. And I was 2 years old at a job site, when we didn't have babysitters or my mom was out working, or, we would be picking up blocks of wood or going around picking up nails on the job site. And, if we weren't working, we had to sit in the truck. Yeah. And that was like the worst thing possible as a kid, was having to sit in the truck all day while your dad was at work or on the job site. We couldn't go build stuff. We couldn't go explore and, be creative. And so, he definitely hammered in, hard work and hard work, discipline, respect. So, it definitely carries on when you got a good father figure, a good, mentor. And a lot of stuff that I, true into my kids is a lot what he taught us. And not all of it's the same, but there's a lot of building blocks that are, the exact same what he built with us. So.
Hey, Felix, I wanted to ask you, bro, it sounds like he had a tremendous role in your life. How did becoming a father actually change you?
Oh, it's been tough. I think I'm one of those dads that, I know I'm a damn good father. I know I'll do anything with my kids. I was just one that unfortunately was a part of a relationship that didn't work out with my daughter, Annabelle. So it's been a battle. It's probably one of the biggest things that I've had to fight and have fought for the last 6 years. And it's been, it's nonstop, and I'm still dealing with it. Custody battles, not being allowed to see your kid, getting visitation taken away from you. Me and my wife, Chelsea, she was a part of the picture before my daughter was even born. So, she knew what was coming. She signed up and we just kind of ran with it. And, it was hard. I would drive, first she was born. I wasn't allowed to see her. I didn't get to see her for like the first 3 weeks. She was born. After she was born, and then it was, whenever I was in town or within, these roles and that kind of stuff. And it's it takes a lot out of you as a person, as a man. And then, down the line, court dates and court and just fighting to see your kid. That's all you want. You got the court systems that all you are is a paycheck. That's what I've dealt with for the last 6 years. I'm still dealing with it. Doesn't matter if you're like, I was traveling at the time, and our first court date, I got the minimum visitation, and I was driving 4 hours for a one overnight visitation. I'd get in 9 o'clock. I'd have my wife pick up our daughter at a certain time. I would, as soon as I get off work, drive, and then then I would leave at 3 o'clock in the morning to get back to the job site by 6:30. And I'd be in my truck ready to go, sleeping at the job site before everyone showed up. So, definitely the situation that the custody, I'm 6 years in, going on 7 of still fighting. Things are definitely a little better, but it's still a nightmare. I'm like, I've probably put in $70,000 worth of court fees and lawyer fees. I'm on my 5th lawyer. So, I definitely, it's been a battle being a father. Being a father is easy. I truly believe being a father easy. My circumstances and my feelings and thoughts is the hard part is, these situations that, a lot of tradesmen fathers are put into. We're not everyone gets divorced, not everyone has kids out of wedlock, but a lot of us do. And that's all we're good for, is a paycheck. And then then you have nothing, but then you got to go work some more, and then you're missing out on all these times and these memories. But if not, then you're going to jail for not paying your child support.
Yeah.
And it's a sad thing, my daughter's always been first to me. I've definitely was one of the hardest transitions was when I quit line work to be a full-time stay-home maker. Was like, how the hell am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to pay my lawyer bills? How am I going to pay my child support? It was a big, scary move.
Yeah. It's
getting better. You gotta understand, you gotta realize that no matter what, you can't stop fighting. They're worth it. And eventually it's all gonna go away. And, you can look back and, and see that, the hardest part about being a father was, you were fighting for your daughter or for your kids. And people can't take that away from you. With my son, since me and Chelsea are married and we're together, and, it's been a whole totally different experience. We have him full time, and, the hard part about that is he's wondering where his sissy is half the time, so,
Yeah.
if I don't really think fatherhood is that hard. I think it's just the situations that you're in, or the things that come at you, whether it's work, whether it's, custody battle, or dealing with your exes, or going through divorce. I think that those factors make being a father hard, being a father and, being there for your kids, and you got all this extra stress. And I think a lot of it too with fathers that just disappear is they just can't handle it anymore. It's sad, but I it's true. I've seen it. I've experienced it. I'm a part of a couple of father rights movement groups
Yeah.
And, I hear the stories, and I've been a part of the groups. And I've, gone out and protested, and I've heard the, the testimonies, and, a lot of these guys, that's all they want. They just want to be fathers.
Yeah.
But the situations they're in, it's just draining.
Yeah. And not to mention too, it's just the psychological well-being on the kids that it has, the effect, you know what I mean? You have a father who loves them, who wants to try to be the best dad possible for those children. And then the court system, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's one-sided or whatever, sides with the mother. And, I prime example, I have a good friend of mine. He was a professional boxer, right?
Yep.
And because he had a violent past, because, of boxing, and because he was sexually abused as a child, they used that against him to say he's a possible at-risk dad for his child. And it sucks. You know what I mean?
They'll take anything, and they'll twist it and turn it and just do it. And I mean, it's sad. It sucks. Especially when I was working, we didn't have the most safe jobs. We were out there, I don't know how many times in my first year that we had some freak accidents that, I almost didn't come home. You got that at work. You got the safety, you got the dangerous aspect of it. I mean, you're tired, you're exhausted, I mean, it's a job, man. It's not for everyone.
Yeah.
And then you throw in, missing your family, missing your kids, court, custody, ex, like it's a lot. And it just got to the point where it's just too much for me. So I just, I moved on. I realized that, all this money, all these hours, it's not worth it. I could be home. I've applied at Walmart. I'm not, too prideful to work at Walmart or apply at Sonic. If I'm home, I can be with my kids, then that's what I got to do.
Yeah.
And when I quit from line work, I had probably $1,200 in my bank account, and I did some water jet parts and hammered them and patinaed them, and that was like that's all I had to go off was this last $1,200. And luckily, I was blessed enough to have such a following and support that I was able to, get on to the next week, and then, pay my bills this month, and then move on to the next month and just grow. So
it really seems, Felix, like, that whole striving for perfection and craftsmanship and, all these different things that your father taught you, those are knowledgeable traits, right? However, how important is it to know our limits, and how does it affect others around us, like our family dynamics, when we're so driven into perfection? How has that affected you?
It puts a burden on your family. I think a lot of what I was taught as a kid was, the father is the provider. And to be a good father, you need to be a provider. And I think a lot of what we do is, we got a family to take care of, and we think we're being a good dad. We think we're being a good husband, because we're providing a home, we're providing bills, the kids got shoes on their feet, and but that's not, I feel like that's not what we're taught from our old mans is, But that also is one of the biggest killers in marriages is, you know, not being present for your family because you're so busy trying to provide for your family. And it's something I've struggled with a lot. You know, when I was actually making and building knives out in the garage, you know, you wouldn't see me till I was done. If I was on a roll, if I was having a good day, I wouldn't come in for dinner. I wouldn't, you know, come in, kiss the kids goodnight, and then I'd go back out in the garage till about 3 a.m. So, I mean, the drive, the passion, it definitely gets in the way of what's most important. I mean, obviously, you know, as a small business, I mean, you are going to have to put in those hours. I mean, there's, you know, you're working for free, basically. You're working for free, you're paying bills, that's all. And until you get to a point, you're basically just working your ass off till you can buy more materials, more supplies, and your family's taken care of, bills are paid, rent's paid. Yeah, like you're not present. So this is still something I deal with today, you know. I'm guilty of it. I think I see a lot of friends that are guilty of it. And I think they see the same thing, that being a father and being a good spouse and being, you know, head of the household is being a provider, and it's 50% of it. The rest is attention. You know, your kids need attention. Your wife needs attention. I mean, your fans, with me, man, I work from my phone, and I mean, if I disappear for 2 days, you know, it's chaos.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. It's one of the flaws of having such a good following, and you know, it takes a lot of time out of your day to, you know, make these posts, respond to these stories, or respond to messages, DMs. You know, I'm kind of seeing that I just need to step back and, you know, set a limit, let people know, like, hey, family first.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna shut off my phone from, you know, 5 o'clock till, you know, midnight or something. Then when the family's asleep and I'm still up working, or, you know, trying to plan the next move, then I'll get back to you. But did I answer your question?
Yeah. One of the things I wanted to ask you, how did it affect your family that you started seeing in a negative light? Just you being so purpose driven.
Just
like, what did you start seeing, you know?
You know, my kids want to spend time with me, but I gotta tell them, you know, daddy's got to go work. Daddy's got to work. You know, there are some positive things in there as well, but, you know, my daughter wanted, hey, dad, can I make a knife with you? You know, that's awesome. That drives your passion even more. But, you know, you start to, you know, separate from your wife, move away from your wife. The distance is definitely there. The tensions are there. I mean, you get fights, you get text messages. Hey, when are you coming in? You know, I mean, it's definitely all present. It's definitely something you can see. I feel like you see it more from your wife than you do your kids, or your partner. I mean, definitely one thing that I think a lot of people need to understand, and again, this is something I'm still learning. You know, the wife needs to come first, then the kids.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna have no kids if you got no wife.
Yep. No, for reals, dude. I agree with you 100%, dude. You got to have that alignment. Once you're out of alignment, it's weird. It's like it's like a car, your alignment's off, everything's off, right? It starts vibrating and shaking and stuff like that. And I liken that to marriage. You know what I mean? When you're not in alignment with your spouse on certain things, right? Well, the kids are going to start acting up in a negative way.
Your whole household just collapses.
Yep, exactly. Goes upside down. Yep.
And I'm dealing with that right now, to be honest. And another big thing is communication. Communication is key. And when you're always busy and you're always got your head in projects and orders and responding to messages, the communication is gone because you're just so your focus is not where it needs to be. It's focused on, something that can wait till later compared to, a conversation at the dinner table. So definitely like communication is something I've noticed that has turned negative to where I'm just either so stressed out or so overworked or just not in the mood that, all my communication just goes out the window.
And it's crazy that you said that too, because, when we don't talk to our spouse because, let me get this message. I'm guilty of this too, right? You got to answer somebody, someone has a quick question or whatever. The message we convey to our spouse or ultimately our children is you're not as important as this question. And that's what they're getting, even though we don't mean it that way. Because obviously you love your spouse, you love your children just like I do, right? And we would never put our children in that situation or tell them that. The message that we convey to them, what they start thinking in their head is, I'm not as important. This is more important to me. And that's where the fights start coming in. You know what I mean? That's where the kids start acting out. My kids, dude, will start throwing blows. My little kids, like if something's wrong and I'm not giving the attention to my sons, they'll walk right up to each other, dude. And I'm talking a right cross right to the face, dude, for no reason. Bloody nose, right? And the same thing with my 14-year-old daughter, dude. She'll start beating the hell out of her little brothers. And it's like, what's really going on with you? You know what I mean? Like, how can I meet your need? What is it that you need? Because before I didn't know that. Before I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this? Do I need to send you to your grandma and grandpa's house in the middle of nowhere? You know what I mean? That's the way I used to talk to my daughter. And then I learned that was wrong. Okay. Cause I was just crushing her, dude. Cause all she was doing was just crying out to me through these actions.
Something I've learned from you from listening to your, a couple of your other shows this past week is that boys want boundaries and girls want relationships. And that's something I've never heard before in my life. And it makes total sense. We got my daughter, she's 6 years old going on, 20, she's past the age where she's a sass. And when she acts out, she lets the whole house know. And then you got my 17-month-old where, you go give him a spank and beat his ass and he just look at you like, that's what? It. That's my boundary, so, it's definitely, my kid's a little younger and stuff like that. I still got a ways to go, but, just, I am very well experienced with little kids. I do good with little kids. I do good with babies. All last year I was home. I was home and raising Anthem I was at home basically watching them during the day, and then my wife worked, and I'd still work. I'm lucky enough I get to work on my phone, and we were blessed enough to where I was able to be home and we didn't have to get a sitter or a daycare or anything like that. But I don't know where I was going with this, but little kids, I haven't got to that teenage days yet where they really start acting out when dad's gone or when dad's too busy. And luckily I've kind of been told and I've seen that before those stages that, hey, I need to be present, so that I can learn that now when they're babies, when they're little, they don't really need they need your full attention, but they're kind of off in their own little imagination, their own little world. And when it comes to them being teenagers, I can be present for them, and don't have to deal with DUIs and running off, running away, getting pregnant, all that crap. I can kind of learn from what I've seen, experienced, from what I've heard from your shows. I listened to 4 of your shows and I learned so much in those 4 hours of driving. It was amazing. And, I can kind of, that's what this is about. This is what you're doing is, I'm a dad, I'm a good dad, but I don't, I can learn from your other hosts or from you to where I can change now, so that in the future, when they are teenagers and stuff, I don't, I can learn from everyone. So that's important. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. And that's what we strive for at the Show Up Dad, dude. We try to bring as much value to our listeners. And, a lot of our listeners are blue collar workers. A lot of them, dude, big support out to my linemen. You know what I mean? This is a much needed thing for us. You know what I mean? As linemen, we're always traveling, right? Traveling for work, we're always absent, and we need to be aware of the void that we're causing in their lives. You know what I mean? Whether it be a son, right? The void that we're creating in our sons, to where they become workaholics, to where they're forever trying to prove to us that they're good enough because they never got that attaboy from us, right? Because we were never there. Or they're trying to not be like us, and they're always trying to prove to themselves, saying, hey, I will never be like my dad, right? So it's two opposite ends of the spectrum. And then for our daughters, if we're not present, we're not engaged with them, we're not having that relationship with them, they're forever trying to find what we didn't give them in another man, in other relationships. And to me, brother, once I figured that out, dude, it was like someone hitting me upside the head with a Kleins, you know what I mean? It's like, holy crap, I don't want to go through that, dude. I don't, And that's what we try to do here. We try to bring that awareness, and we try to bring as much value to this show, and I thank you for recognizing that, brother. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things I wanted to ask you, Felix, we talked about traveling and stuff like that, right? Why do you think fathers get that tunnel vision, okay, when it comes to making a better life, usually at the expense of their families? I know I went through this too, Why do you think fathers, why do you think you got that tunnel vision, trying to, just be so focused on what you're doing?
I think as men, that's just what we're bred to do. We kind of avoid, this could just be me. I'll speak for myself. I avoid conflict. I avoid just crappy situations. I avoid communication. And when you're working, you that just kind of all goes out the window, and you can just focus. And we're definitely a different breed. We work hard. We want to prove to ourselves. I think we want to prove to other men, to other people that, we hold the value. I think a lot nowadays is men feel like they're not valued as much as they think they should be. All we do want is that attaboy, or that good job, or I'm proud of you. But when it comes to the day to day, your work is your focus, and it distracts you from the 50 million other other things you got going on. Like in my case, it's dealing with bills. It's dealing with, having conversations that I don't want to have with my wife. It has to do with staying busy, so I don't have to focus on, custody battle and all that, and dealing with the ex or something like that. And I think it's just what we're good at, and I like I said again, like I feel like a lot of men, we were all raised we were all taught by our fathers, if we had fathers present, hardworking fathers present, that's what we're supposed to do. My dad I'm identical to my dad. I'm a hard worker. I don't talk much. I don't communicate. I have a hard time communicating. And I'm his twin, and everything. I hold stuff in. If I have issues, I hold stuff in, because men aren't supposed to cry. Men aren't supposed to express their feelings. So I think a lot of it is us guys. We have, not only do we have our family troubles and our family worries and our burdens and the stress of that, and then you got the stress of the world, of what the world expects from you as a man, what your bank account should be, and so I think we just shut down and we just do what we're good at.
Yeah, it's kind of like a numbing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's like a cover. It's like addiction. It's either like, sit down drinking so you don't have to talk about, discuss something, or drugs, or I mean, any kind of addiction. I mean, it's covering up or avoiding, what you're feeling or what you're not strong at as a dude or as a dad. But I just feel like, the new generation, I mean, they can't lift a damn hammer, but I feel like us and our fathers before us, if you didn't work hard, I mean, if you didn't work hard, you didn't take care of your family, I mean, you weren't anything. So that's what I feel.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you 100%. You know what I mean? It's crazy how society deems, a man needs to work hard, a man needs to be this and this and this, and that mentality is kind of toxic in a sense. I firmly believe in working hard, right? But I don't know how many people I know who are hard workers, probably some of the hardest working people, and they're still poor.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Still dirt poor, but it's almost like they pride themselves. I work hard. It's like, dude, you don't got shit to show. Excuse my language. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of that is choices, but I think it's our mindset. You carry this limited mindset of what you're fully capable of. You know what I mean? And I think we put ourselves in these boxes as men is, okay, I'm just a provider. I'm just this paycheck, right? This is all I got to do. And then we start putting ourselves in these boxes to where, okay, well, I did my part. I don't got to pay attention to my kids. I don't got to do this. I don't got to do this, right? Because I already did what I needed to do, my part, And then a lot of times you hit a nail right on the head with this, Felix. I talked to a psychologist and he was talking about how men were always taught not to convey our feelings, right? How to speak on stuff that's bothering us. And that's what's happening right now in the world today with a lot of men is we don't know how to communicate that we're hurting. So we dive into these vices, right? For lack of better words, whether it be drinking, snorting a line, jamming a vein, going out hunting like crazy and spending all kinds of money because that's what you say is your passion. That's great. It's great to have a passion and everything like that. But when it becomes unhealthy because you're putting your family to the back burner, and they're crying out for you, that's unhealthy, brother. You know what I mean? And that's something that needs to be fixed. And a lot of men, right? We can't communicate that because we're taught not to cry. Rub some dirt on it, kid. Right?
Yep.
Seriously,
Yep.
they tell us what do they say? Rub some dirt on it. Stop being a punk. You know what I mean? Stop wearing your, you know, how many times they tell you work? Don't wear your freaking feelings on your sleeve, dog. You know what I mean? They would tell you that at work every single time. You know what I mean? And where I'm going with this, Felix, is that we're taught this, right? And the psychologist is saying that a lot of men today, because they cannot communicate these feelings, you know, depression doesn't affect men the same way it affects women. Okay. Depression, when it's suppressed, comes out as anger, comes out as like I call it, I'd flash on people, dog. Seriously. It would get to a boiling point, and then I'd flash on my family. I'd flash on my wife. I'd flash at a coworker. You know what I'm saying? And thank God I stopped drinking. That's one of the jokes we used to talk about when I was back in my tools. You know, they'd be like, "Why doesn't Dave drink?" And it's like, "Do you want a black eye?" You know what I mean? That was the joke. You know what I mean? Because I would really tell you how I felt straight up. You know what I mean? It must have been the Indian in me or something, dude. But I couldn't handle the fire water, brother. I'm serious. You know what I mean? I'd get out of control.
No, man. I mean, I've covered up issues with just about anything. And now it's like, now it's work. Now it's my phone. Now it's, you know, going and staying busy out in the garage. So, so I don't have to discuss. I don't have to deal with issues or arguments or disagreements. And just, I mean, as a man and as a dad and as a father and as a husband, I mean, it's hard because that's one of my biggest struggles is communication. And just like you, I'm not a patient person. You know, I snap too, and I just explode, and it's nothing serious, but I do. And I think a lot of it is just as men, we hold everything in. We suppress it, like you said. We suppress everything. We hold it in, and then shit, one wrong question, and you know, you explode. You know, for me, it's just I'm so tired. I'm so tired of you know, I got a family that relies on me. I got a wife that relies on me. I got a wife that wants to talk to me. I got kids that want my attention. I got teachers that want to talk. I got lawyers sending me bills. I got, you know, ex drama just because I'm trying to be a co-parent. I got, and then, you know, when I just want to be left alone, I can't, because I still got to be present, you know, and it's hard. It's probably one of the hardest things is me communicating. You know, I'm a good dad, you know, I really am. I'm not a very good husband, I feel like, you know, and I'll be real with you. I have a hard time communicating. I have a hard time with communication. And, you know, I'm not someone that can just explain what's going on and what I'm feeling. So
I think a lot of men can just resonate with what you're saying, dude, because I mean that affects everybody. You know what I mean? I couldn't communicate, and a part of me not being able to communicate is because I didn't even know what was going on, dude. I really did.
Yeah.
You know, and the more confused I was, right, the more I delved into, you know, staying busy on projects. You know, I wouldn't be home for 2-3 weeks at a time sometimes. And when I did come home, I would get so busy because I didn't know how to be around my kids. I didn't know how to be around the dynamic of the family with them wanting daddy's attention because daddy hasn't been home, to where I would almost build this like anxiety within myself, and I would change the whole atmosphere. Okay. Have you ever noticed that? Like when daddy's pissed off and he walks in, it changes the atmosphere. Well, that's how much
Yeah.
influence we have on our children and in our family dynamic, dude. We can change the atmosphere just by what we're feeling, dude. One of the things, I had a psychologist come on here, and she does a lot of cognitive therapy training, right? And cognitive therapy is the study of being able to change and remap and renew your mind, the way you think, okay? And one of the ways that she brings awareness back to our brain when we have this pattern that we don't like, for instance, okay? Say you don't like not being able to communicate, or you don't like, whatever it is, right? What you do is, she said, you breathe in for 3 seconds, right? Just 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe in, and then exhale for 7 seconds. Now, what that does is it brings oxygen back to your frontal lobe, okay? And that's where we do all our reasoning and stuff like that. So when you do that, it actually triggers your mind to say, okay, something's not right. Something's got to change. Okay. And it's like it's a reset, is what she called it. Okay. And that helps you just get refocused on what's going on in our, you know what I mean? And that, dude, that's helped me tremendously, dude. From wanting to explode on my children to wanting to explode on my wife, just being able to inhale and then exhale like that, or even just box breathing. Mark Divine talks about that all the time, where you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 4 seconds. And that gets him back in alignment. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And all those different tricks right there really, really help, bro. I'm telling you. I mean, and I hope the listeners hear this too, because look it up: box breathing, Mark Divine, cognitive clarity with Audria. That's going to be one of the podcasts that we're going to have later on here, coming up in about 2-3 weeks. That's going to be an awesome one as well, talking about burnout and, all these different tricks that we're learning, dude, just to help out fathers. Because we're all going through this, brother. That's why I called it the show up, Dad. What do you do at the show up, right? In the morning when we'd show up, right? We'd show up, we'd get our orders, we'd talk about who's going to be on whose crew, we'd eat a burrito or whatever,
You just get your shit together. You get your shit together. You make sure everyone's in the same page. Make sure all the dads are on the same page. Make sure you're in check. Make sure everyone knows what they're doing. Your JSA is filled out. I think dad JSA is what we need to do every morning.
Yep.
We all hated filling those things out, but it brought everyone together. And that's exactly what the show is about, and it's awesome. So,
yeah. Well, right on, Felix. Felix, how can our audience get a hold of you, brother? Other than Instagram and stuff like that. So,
Instagram is the easiest way to get a hold of me. It's something_obscene_company. That's where I spend most of my time. You can catch me on Facebook. My personal page, Felix Landon Archibeque. I have Something Obscene on Facebook as well. And then I also have a group page for where we all hang out, sell knives, discuss knives. That's Obscene EDC. Or you can just give me a call. I have no problem giving my phone number out. It's 918-924 7449. That's my cell. Shoot me a text. If a dad needs to talk, dad needs a escape for a little bit, step outside and shoot me a call. And trust me, I've gone through it all. I've been through it all. I'm still going through it. So I think that's one thing that I think kind of stepping away from my business, but this is for anyone. If y'all need to talk, us guys don't talk very much, but if you do need to talk to someone, I'm a good person to talk to. I've been through it all. I'm still going through it all. I'm probably dealing with the same issues that a lot of people are dealing with. So I'm always free. I just ask, don't text or call after
right.
2 p.m. Don't send me bad
Don't be
pictures.
sending bad pictures. Yeah,
But
one thing I wanted to ask you, brother, and I have to ask you this. You don't have to answer it if you don't want to. Dude, where did you get the name Something Obscene? I saw a post you had.
So, something obscene. I mean, what it means to me is, I've always been judged by my appearance. I got tattoos, I got neck tattoos. You know, people grab their purses when I walk by them.
Right.
But I'm that kind of person. I mean, if you drop $100 bill, I'd pick it up and give it back to you. But something obscene, it goes back to quality of work, really. I was sitting down one day and I was just trying to think, like, what, I think this was back when I was doing just painting and artwork and my photography. And I was like, I need to come up with a name for a company. And I think I said, like, it needs to be something obscene, and it needs to be something that, my artwork makes people say something obscene. Like, they see a knife, open up a knife, and I mean, what's the first thing that comes out of your mouth? It's probably, the F word or something obscene. It was just, that's what it is. It's something, everyone thinks I own like a dildo company or something. But excuse the language and stuff, but no, I like the name. I mean, the wife's not very happy with the name, but I think it portrays on my character. I'm don't judge a book by its cover. My quality is something obscene. My everything I do, my charity work I do, it's all out there. Don't judge a book by its cover. Really, is kind of what I was going for. So yeah, it's kind of how it started.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, dude. I like the name and everything. I saw that you had posted that on Instagram. How did I come about my name? And I think I kind of nailed it, dude, because I was like, man, it's when, you see the quality of your work and you say something obscene, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I had everyone do post only wrong answers only. So that was kind of like the fun part of it. But we got some good inappropriate obscene answers for sure.
Well, I tell you what, dude, that Hawkbill Journeyman you got there, that's a bad looking knife, bro.
Thank you. I got a lot more coming this year. 2020 was one of my best years to date. I was a little nervous at first, especially when the Hawkbill came out. Like, I postponed pre-orders because I was like, man, people are hungry, like, but I mean, no one cared, man. Like, I feel like people came out because they can go out and they supported me huge last year. This year's even bigger. I got the Dixxon Flannel coming in collaboration. That's huge. That's a big goal. Something I want to talk about if we have time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Especially for dads, set goals, get a goal board. Something that's helped me a lot. As a businessman, as a small business, and also as a family man, is go get you a whiteboard and put it in your shop, put it in your garage, and make goals for yourself, for your family. And then work towards those goals together. Something I want to mention, something that, I kind of do myself with my business and with, family and stuff like that. So kind of off topic, but
no, I like that. I like that a lot. Get that vision board, and it's absolutely true, brother, because if you don't have a vision, you ain't going nowhere. And as leaders, as fathers, we're leaders, right, of our home. We're going to be responsible when we die and we go before whatever maker you guys have or whatever, you know what I mean? You're going to have to answer for how you treated your family, how you raised your family, how you provided for your family. Right. And when that happens, dude, I don't want to be the guy, well, I didn't know. So get a vision board, write it down, and go for it. You know what I mean? Without a vision, people suffer. They don't go nowhere. And I like that. I like that you touched on that, dude. I really do, but it was awesome having you on here, Felix, dude. You're an amazing dude, brother. If we can help you out in any way possible, dude, we're here. Your company's amazing. You know what I mean? Like I said, we're just going to be promoting you a lot as well, and we just thank you for coming on here and sharing your story with our listeners and stuff like that. And I know it's going to add tremendous value to whoever's listening. So I thank you for that, brother. I really do.
Yeah. And I appreciate you reaching out to me. I know you've been a big follower of mine for a while, and, for you to reach out to me, this is my first podcast. So this is, totally out of my realm. Like I said before, I'm not a big talker, but this is definitely something I'm very passionate about, is being a father and helping other dads, for sure, because we don't have the easiest job, and we get a bad rap sometimes. And I know there's a lot of us, especially us tradesmen, we're out there working all the time, and we're away from our kids or pushed away from our kids. I think what you're doing is, absolutely amazing. Us dads, dads don't get a lot of support nowadays. Yeah. They just don't. Maybe it's starting to turn around a little bit, but we've not had it easy. We got a lot of expectations that come from us, and like I've said, like we don't have a good resource of people to talk to, or podcasts like this. And like I've said, I've learned. I listened to. I took a drive to pick up my dog the other day. I had to drive 4 hours to my brother's house, and I put on your podcast and I listened to 4 or 5 episodes. And in those 4 or 5 episodes, time went by fast. I felt like I turned off the truck when I got home, and I felt like I learned something. I feel like I could come in the house and be a better dad. And I learned a lot. So I really appreciate you having me on. I appreciate, what you shared, the knowledge you do have that you share. I'll promote this and I'll share it. So I appreciate you for sure.
Well, thank you, brother. It's always good to hear the positives that we're putting out there, Lord. You know what I mean? And I just want to thank you, brother. And we'll be talking at you soon.
Yes, sir.
All right. Talk to you later, Brandon.